This is Darwin doing the orange justice in class. And this is Gumball doing the Shaq emote. From iconic memes to straight up brain rot, these are all of the IRL references I could find in Gumball Season 7. And we're gonna start by looking at the first episode, The Burger. After going to school and having a lesson on the dangers of eating fast food, when Gumball is trying to sneak around and eat junk food, Darwin comes in and stops him from eating it. Then Richard comes by with a bag of Joyful Burger, which Darwin kicks out of his hands.
Stop it, this food is bad for you.
This moment is actually a nod to the anime FLCL, specifically referencing this scene. The team behind Gumball never misses a chance to sneak in another anime reference, but this next reference, instead of being a nod, is definitely more of a diss. When Gumball and Darwin go to the Elmore Mall to cook for themselves, they find some sports drinks that must be healthy, right? But when Darwin reads the ingredients and asks if he wants it in his body, Gumball says,
Do you really want aspartahydroxyandronol inside your body?
No. Sounds kind of like the names billionaires give their sons.
This would be a reference to Elon Musk and his son, whose name looks like something I would see in my math test. This name, when broken down, has a bunch of meanings. One of the things in there being based off a literal aircraft. So it's no surprise that Gumball would touch on this by making fun of how crazy that name is. After poking fun at Elon Musk and his son, they head towards the checkout, where Larry appears in a rat costume before quickly switching to his uniform. Many of you might think this is a reference to Chuck E. Cheese, which isn't entirely wrong, but it's actually a reference to an older version called Pizza Time Theater, a chain started in the late 1970s by Chuck E. Cheese's founder, which combined arcade games, pizza, and of course, the creepy animatronics. But from the red and yellow hat to the rat costume, and even serving pizza, all to connect the episode's message about unhealthy food and the corrupt businesses in the real world. This actually ties into our final reference in this episode, as Gumball and Darwin face off with Mr. Build-A-Burger, the man behind the brand of Joyful Burger, who sings a theme song that's pretty familiar to Burger King's, with the phrase, "People are dumb, dumb, dumb," being a reference to Whopper, Whopper, Whopper,
Whopper, Junior, Double, Triple, Whopper.
With the making of this episode being around 2022, and the showrunners going over pretty much every dead trend over the years, it's no surprise that they would include a reference to the king himself. But that's already 4 references, and we're just getting started. Moving on to the episode The Assistant, Nicole meets an AI named Ori, who proves to be quite helpful inside and outside the house. And when they hit Elmore Mall together, she whisks Nicole through a whirlwind, grabbing what they need, checking out online in seconds, and sliding around. But she wouldn't just slide out. No, she hit the Akira slide, the 1988 anime classic move, where the character Kaneda slides his brain sideways. This would be such an iconic move that even after 3 decades of animation, it's still getting referenced across many other Cartoon Network shows like Adventure Time, Clarence, and now Gumball as well. But then we start to see Nicole and Ori get very close. She gets a VR headset, where we have 2 more references, from the VR world being a reference to VR Chat, a game where people use avatars to meet and do anything they want online. On top of that, their hairstyles in the VR world reference both Hatsune Miku and Cassine Tito, both iconic virtual singers. But the references still don't end there. At the end, after surviving the moving car and getting her family to finally do things around the house, Nicole gets a package from Ori, apologizing for her actions, and that she's hitched herself to a satellite to look for an alien species that transcends time and space, which is a reference to the 2001 film A Space Odyssey HAL 9000, in which there's an AI on a spaceship focused on a mysterious alien intelligence far beyond human understanding. Next, let's go to the episode The Distance, where Gumball and Darwin take it to a whole new level of weird, when they're being a little too close, from sharing their foods to shocking each other's butts. So Nicole and Richard decide to give Darwin the basement, where he can live in his own space. Anais, though, believes the plan will backfire, and she proceeds to float and take herself away, just like in the movie The Lorax. Lorax, when the Lorax floats away after all the truffula trees have been cut down. The next reference is when Gumball and Darwin hop on a game called Panda Party Town, which is an obvious parody of Club Penguin, from the visuals to being an online game where you happen to chat with others, and some nods to in-game items like the Crystal Staff. Not only do we get a reference to Club Penguin, but also another game that you've definitely heard of called Roblox. You can easily miss it, but when Gumball and Darwin first hop on the game, when a player named Bamboom Booty 97 comes up to them, the high sound effect from Roblox can be heard.
His website has been abandoned for 3 years.
We get our last reference in this episode when Gumball thinks Darwin broke up with him, as a friend. Just would like to make that clear. But then Bambooty97 appears again, who turns out to be Daniel Leonard. He relates to Gumball and agrees to help him win Darwin back, reenacting the Revenge of the Sith moment, where Emperor Palatine lures Anakin to the dark side. He even calls Gumball Panduin.
Before me, my young Padawan.
Which is a play on the actual Star Wars term Panduin, the name for a Jedi apprentice. But now, we gotta go to the episode The Thing, and it starts off already with a banger of a reference from Street Fighter. She uses Chun-Li's lightning kick to knock the onions into a pan and slide it onto the stove. She follows it up with Ryu and Ken's hurricane kick to swing open the door. The oven fires back up with Yoga Fire, Doslim's signature move. When Nicole counters with E100's 100 hand slap to fan away the smoke, she finishes it all off with the iconic Hodoken again by Ryu and Ken. Also, as Nicole is doing all that, a sound effect from the game Neighbors from Hell can be heard. Afterwards, Granny JoJo calls, as she's trying to figure out how to properly work her phone. She starts scrolling through filters, with one of them being Even Doe, from the heroic quest of Valiant Prince Even Doe, a show made by 2 of Gumball's former animators. Then, we get 2 parodies of Lord of the Rings. When Nicole asks Richard about The Thing, Richard has no clue what she's talking about, which leads to this scene.
Do not mistake me for some cheap domestic attendant.
Which is a reference to this scene. And when Richard asks if he can get a little clue, we zoom into Nicole's face, where the screen turns teal, which is a reference to this scene. The episode continues to give us even more references, from the Giga Chad face, Luffy's straw hat from One Piece, and a parody of a scene from The Matrix. Next is the episode The Butts. Principal Brown feels embarrassed about his butt because of an incident that happened when he was younger, so Gumball takes it upon himself to help him embrace it. They go to Cut Me Loose, which I'm pretty sure is a new location, where Gumball shows him a variety of different hairstyles for his butt, and one of those hairstyles is orange curly hair, a reference that can definitely be linked to Ice Spice, who blew up in 2022 with the exact same hairstyle. Our last few references from this episode play out at the end. When Gumball plays some music, he does the Brazilian Luffy dance meme. Then everyone else starts dancing, with Banana Joe's dance being a reference to the Peanut Butter Jelly song, with him and Tobias recreating the Super Hot Fire meme. In the next episode, The Traffic, Nicole wants to take Anais to Daisyland, as it's the last day they can do so because the park is shutting down. And while she doesn't want the rest of the family to ruin this for her, this is when she starts intensely staring at Richard, Gumball, and Darwin to force them to remember why it's always their fault. This would be a reference to the Penis Stare from Marvel's Ghost Rider. The next reference is in the car, when Anais is explaining all the different activities. Darwin gets scared of the baby mascot, Baby Billy, leading him to say,
Looks like he was born bursting through someone's chest.
well, the baby was most likely not born that way. The Xenomorph from the Alien franchise was, making it another subtle reference to a fan favorite movie. But as Darwin is scared over Baby Billy, Gumball and Richard also start messing things up, pushing Nicole to snap and remind them about their promise. And just like how I would react, they react like the Hide the Pain Herald meme. Another reference comes when Gumball thinks he's fixed his text to Penny.
Okay. Thank you,
universe for the edit button.
But after Anais tells him that she can still see it, he sinks through the sea and falls deeper into the underworld. This could be a reference to Beyonce's music video Hold Up, where she's seen sinking underwater. Or it could be a reference to the movie Get Out, where a character named Chris sinks into what is known as the sunken place. It could be either one, but I'd lean more towards Get Out, with both characters expressing a shocked face as they slowly sink into nothingness. As for the last reference, when Anais acknowledges that the boys need more attention, and that's just how their family is, which happens to bring out their inner guilt. So they work together to get Anais to Daisyland. Right as they make their gateway, the way Gumball and Darwin run is a clear reference to Sonic and his signature super peel out move. In the next episode, the Astrological, Mr. Small's crystal predicts everybody's true love, predicting that Gumball and Penny are gonna break up.
Not only are you not meant to be together, you'll break up by the end of the day.
Gumball then starts to see Mr. Small's predictions are becoming true, with one of the matches being Darwin and Tina, and both of their faces change. Darwin's face turned into an actual goldfish, while Tina's face resembles Barney the dinosaur. Next, in the episode The Cheerleader, Gumball and Darwin discover Richard's old diary. They help him face his past and regain confidence by trying out for the cheerleading team. At first, they take him to the skate park to boost his confidence, then to a roller coaster, onto a pony ride, and then finally a bungee jump, but all of them end in failure. This is when the reference kicks in. After going to bed, Richard is clearly nervous for the big day, which is tomorrow, and he has a face that resembles the depiction of Pepe the Frog, known as Monka S, a Twitch emote that's heavily used as a way to express being nervous or scared. Moving on to the episode The Boring, Gumball and Darwin find themselves getting into trouble with Tina, and in a desperate way to get out of the situation, they ask to use the bathroom. This is when they cross paths with Molly to find out that her yapping has the ability to stop time, leading to this reaction from the boys, which is a reference to the Mind Blown meme from Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Great Job. At first, they use this power to mess around with people, but when they are confronted by Tina,
Hey, you two! Time to get stomped.
they decide to become kung fu masters to fight Bat. And as we get into their little montage, they perform the fusion dance from Dragon Ball. At which point, you realize how much influence Dragon Ball really has. This next one might be a stretch, but during the montage, Gumball and Darwin are seen forging pieces of steel, which heavily reminds me of that scene from the 2008 movie Iron Man, where Tony and Yinsen are building Mark 1 together. But if you think I'm tripping, definitely let me know in the comments. And while you do that, hit the subscribe button. Come on, you're right there. The last reference in this episode happens when Gumball and Darwin are wielding elemental fire and water. This could either be a reference to Avatar: The Last Airbender, or it's most likely a reference to the Mortal Kombat characters Scorpion and Rain, since Mortal Kombat is a fighting game, and both characters' abilities are water and fire. In the episode The Teacher, while trying to retrieve his phone back from Miss Simeon, Gumball catches her stealing and makes a face that resembles the original PogChamp Twitch emote. Now, if you think we've seen enough references, this next episode takes it to another level, this time referencing a ton of trends over the last few years that Gumball happened to miss out on. So you know they had to go back in time and retrieve all of this in one episode. In the app, our very first reference happens when Gumball and Darwin are going to their local pawn shop to try to get themselves a new phone. Remember that phone Gumball had last episode? Forget it, because that never happened. As they talk to Nicole about it, she mentions an app called QuickSap, which is their version of TikTok.
And we'll finally be able to join ClickSap.
I don't know. I saw a very humorous give on Elmore Plus saying that ClickSap is dangerously addictive.
So add that among the rest of the references. Then, after basically calling their mom old, which, Gumball, come on, my boy, you have to respect your elders, she leaves them nowhere near a pawn shop, so they have to walk out there. But while doing so, they encounter Hobo. this is actually his name apparently, who gives them a pair of sunglasses to see how corrupt the world is. They proceed to look at their surroundings and see signs with secret messages. This is actually a reference to the movie They Live, where a drifter discovers special sunglasses that reveal hidden alien propaganda controlling society. But the creators must be a huge fan, because they didn't just reference it once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. The second reference can be seen in the characters, as they are basically like the aliens from the movie They Live. The third one will be the scene right here.
I've come here to chew bubblegum and fix apps. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
And in the movie, a transmitter hides the aliens and their secret messages, but for Gumball, it's shown as a cell tower. Now, get ready to dig up some old trends, because of course, Gumball had to get in with the fun too. But we have so many things that I'll just show you. Gumball and Darwin immediately try to do a trend where you hit someone in the butt with a moldy tortilla. Then we see Tobias, whose dance is supposed to be a reference to the K-pop group New Jeans. Terry does the T-Edgerez head transition trend. Leslie does the wipe it down trend. Claire is seen doing the renegade. Jamie and 8-Bit Dog kick over bottle caps because that was a trend. Sarah, Hector, and other characters do the trust fall. Banana Barbara posts minion memes from the Despicable Me films. Post About Mayor is a reference to Trump and taxes. Tony protests flat earthers, and Josh posts a parody of the traumatized Mr. Incredible meme. Molly and Miss Simeon are seen doing the ice bucket challenge. Claire and Darwin hit the pogo trend. Jared mews in the background, and we also see the milk gallon challenge. That was a lot, but now we have to move on to the episode The Entrance, where the references just keep on rolling. The whole episode basically revolves around Tobias having a party, and everyone is invited, but Gumball and Darwin notice that he really isn't the popular person that he seems to be, and that people might not show up, so they decide they should give out gift boxes in order to lure them to the party. And when they're looking for items to give, they mention the boxes were all from Frankie and his time.
Where does all this stuff come from?
It's from Grandpa Frankie's time.
Oh.
Then we get a flashback on items he illegally imported that were dangerous. And in one of them, we see a reference to the 2020 pandemic, when masks were mandatory and you had to follow a bunch of health rules. Eventually, they find the cologne, spelled Cool-Lone, which could be a reference to the real fragrance Extreme Spice Bomb, as both resemble an actual grenade and have black and gold finishes. Although, it turns out this isn't just your average fragrance, and black smoke appears that makes them overly energetic and silly. They start shipping them out to every kid in Elmore, and the boys go prepare for the party. Still energetic and crazy, they start changing their hairstyle and outfits, which are actually based off real ones that celebrities have worn to the Met Gala, like Lil Nas X, Bad Bunny, Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, and a ton more. This is when they finally snap out of it and realize that they're too late to the party. They then use the Cool-Lone, and it sends them right back to a trippy state. And that's when we get our final reference in this episode, where after being all tripped out, a title card appears and spawns in front of Tobias's house. Gumball then explains his brilliant plan of how they're going to get into Tobias's house, but in reality, we go back 20 minutes and see that they were still on the weird Cool-Lone, and end up making Tony crash. Both of the time card scenes, if you somehow didn't know, are a reference to SpongeBob.
A few moments later.
In the next episode, The Letter, Darwin slips a love letter into Carrie's locker, not realizing that ghosts go feral when told "I love you." One battle with a flesh-eating backpack later, they receive the love letter back, but during the process of destroying it, Gumball's skull pops out from his skin, which is a reference to the SpongeBob episode The Splinter.
Okay, fine, stay.
It turns out that the letter Darwin wrote Carrie came from a cursed notebook that she gave him for Valentine's Day. That notebook is actually a reference to the Necromycin from Evil Dead, a book about dark magic bound in human skin, just like the one from Gumball. Then he tries using spells that he finds written in the book to see if that magically destroys the letter, which summons a cabinet with Swedish text at a $59 price tag. And if you translate the text, it says affordable, well-designed, furniture, and meatballs, which is a reference to the real IKEA, renowned for serving their signature meatballs in a wide range of furniture. They must really love meatballs. but while still trying to figure out how to destroy the letter, it finds its way into Hector's backpack. Fortunately, Hector seems to return the letter to Darwin without any trouble, though Darwin might have celebrated too early, as he immediately starts dancing the Orange Justice and the Shoot dance. And no, not the Fortnite emotes, but they would find their way into the game. Our final two references appear after Darwin is forced to read the letter out loud in front of the class, only for it to be revealed that Hector mistakenly thought it was a love confession for him. Darwin is relieved, but Carrie is not in the slightest, calling him a Lothario, an Italian term for a womanizer that originated from the fair Penton. Miss Simeon even references the play while explaining what the word means to Gumball.
What's a Lothario? It's a womanizer from a play.
In the episode The Gut, Gumball and Darwin are searching through the fridge when they discover a dressing and ask if it's blue and black or white and gold, which is a reference to the 2015 dress debate where people argue on if the dress is blue and black or white and gold. The debate would go on even to this day, despite it being confirmed that it's blue and black. But I don't know, the dress definitely looks white and gold. Then we go to Anais and Richard, where Richard struggles to stay awake while Anais explains her latest invention, a device that lets organic matter communicate. When Gumball drops spoiled food, Richard immediately eats it, insisting on the 5-second rule, which will prove to be a really bad eating habit, as Anais's new invention ends up on a hot dog during a scuffle between her and the boys, which falls to the ground and Richard devours that in an instant. That's when his gut comes to life and bonds with Anais. Worried he's being replaced, Richard turns to Gumball and Darwin for help. When he struggles to play the instrument, they advise him to imagine it like a TV remote, and that's when we get a reference to the popular show Love Island, which is named Snog Island. We also get a reference to Netflix and Hulu, as Richard changes from one app to another, maybe being light dissed towards Netflix, as Hulu is where season 7 of Gumball is, so take that, Netflix. Next, in the episode The Wrinkle, Anais's dim-witted family is finally taking a toll on her, visibly giving her wrinkles for anything stupid that they do, so she pulls out the trusty old notebook, full of plans for the next 40 years. Darwin will go to an assassin academy to toughen up, Gumball will get a lawyer for all the messes he's gotten into, and Richard and Nicole will be sent to a ranch to retire, so Nicole doesn't, quote, do the 5-head point explosion technique on Richard when she realizes who she decided to spend the rest of her life with. This isn't something Anais just invented, it's a reference to Hokuto Shiken, the fictional material art from the manga First of the North Star, that kills or incapacitates by striking precise pressure points in the body. It also references the 5-point palm exploding heart technique from Kill Bill, Volume 2, a move that hits 5 specific points so the victim collapses and dies after taking 5 steps. In Darwin's Academy sequence, he's put through harsh training by masked figures. The leader's mask and cold authority could be a reference to the frontman from Squid Game, while the secretive, ritual-like group itself might be inspired by the Court of Owls from DC Comics. One instructor's blue mask could also be a reference to Ocho Ubida from Naruto. The mask that Darwin wears during his trials could be a nod to Tom Cruise's mask in Vanilla Sky. And in Darwin's final test, where he's ordered to kill a dog, is most definitely a reference to the Kingman's shoot the dog scene.
Shoot the dog.
In the episode The Gourmet, Gumball sees Masami's gourmet double truffle mac and cheese at lunch, and he decides that he will do whatever it takes to get a bite of it, even going as far as going to the Yoshida household. And one montage later, and Gumball makes his way in, he becomes a Yoshida. That's when the chef comes in with what Gumball has been waiting for his entire life. But wait a second, look closer at the chef pug. He could be a reference to the multiple Michelin star winning, world-renowned chef Gordon Ramsay. From the hair to the pug face, you can't tell me this isn't Gordon. And the last reference in the episode is when Gumball and Nicole decide to mess with Yuki using her own house against her, putting her in a dresser where she is put in multiple different outfits, and among them, she's wearing a dress made out of red meat, which has also been worn by Lady Gaga, who garnered a ton of eyes after wearing a meat dress in the 2010 MTVs. In the episode The Pool, on a hot, scorching day, Gumball, Darwin, Darwin and Richard decide to cool off when they discover that Mr. Robinson secretly has a pool. They ask to use it, but he refuses. The boys aren't ready to give up that easily though. One of the ways they try to convince him is by calling him outside. And watch Gumball and Darwin suffer as they're burning into a crisp, which might have been a reference to the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, where SpongeBob and Patrick are placed under a heat lamp and start to dry up. The last reference appears after the boys end up draining Mr. Robinson's pool by accidentally and desperately patching it up, only for it to fall apart. Everyone bursts into tears, but Richard's cry specifically mirrors the classic Peanut style of crying, with his head tilted back and streams of tears shooting out the sides of his face. Next, in the episode The Portrait, all Nicole wants is a perfect family picture, but every time they're about to take one, another family member suddenly shows up. The first to arrive are Granny JoJo and Louie, who mentioned they came because they read Richard's newsletter. And if you look closely, there's even an image of a slice of pizza wearing sunglasses with arms and legs, likely a fun nod to Pizza Steve from Uncle Grandpa, another Cartoon Network classic. The next reference appears when Gumball, Darwin, and Anais conduct a dark ceremony around the box that Granny JoJo brought with her, chanting, "The power of 3 will set this box free."
Power of 3 will set this box free.
This is a direct reference to the show titled Charmed, where 3 witch sisters often recite the same sentence to activate their magic.
Power of 3 will set us free.
For the last reference, when Larry confronts Nicole about the entire situation, Nicole completely snaps and roars at Larry, with her mouth opening like the Predator's mouth from the Predator franchise. And finally, for the last episode, we got the Amadean, where Penny invites Gumball over to her house. Though by this point, he knows every time he visits Penny at her house, he usually gets dragged into some of her family drama. He gets all worried until Penny shows her dad's karaoke machine, leading to this moment right here. This, of course, is a reference to the famous Shaq shoulder shaking gif, where he looks at the camera and starts shaking his shoulders with a big grin. A meme that you must have seen thousands of times by now. Finally, this leaves us with our last reference, which comes from the Fitzgeralds. It turns out it's actually Penny's grandmother's 80th birthday, and the entire clan is coming over, who are very strict with this tradition. After Gumball and Penny are forced to wear their shells, we get to see the Fitzgerald family for the first time, wearing white clothing, rituals, and the festive setting is most definitely a reference to the tradition shown in the horror film Midsommar, just without all the horror and killing. But they do give Gumball a great scare, giving some scary vibes that could actually be because of the movie. Well, those are all the real life references I could find in season 7 of Gumball. If I missed any, let me know and subscribe.